Vivechan, one of the verse. And this is a book, mantras are from the Vedas, of course, but explanation and little poetry written about that mantra by Guruji. So we'll just recite mantra number 42. Then we will be doing the Vedic prayers, which we always do before our studies. And then one chapter of Astavakra Gita. And you all know Astavakra Gita is a conversation between Rishi Astavakra and his student King Janak. And King Janak, who is the father of Mata Sita, a great karma yogi. But after, he was a born karma yogi. But as we learn from Bhagavad Gita, becoming a karma yogi is also one of the step towards the higher achievement. So once he gets in touch with his guru, so guru's kripa also, his own effort also, it's a combination of two. He becomes a karma sannyasi. That doesn't mean he's not doing any actions, he's not doing the karmas, but he realizes that who am I to do it? I'm not doing it. Atma is not doing it. The Prakriti in me is doing it, and that's what he was explaining in the chapter which we finished last week. It's a very high level of achievement. Karam Sannyasi. Okay, so let's start with the mantra number 42, page number 137. This is from a Rig Ved. ऋषि दीर्घतमा, वायु की भयंकरता भी कभी कभी प्रतीत होती है। वन में जब वायु के वेग से वृक्षों का परस्पर घर्षण होता है तो जंगल में आग लग जाती है। इस प्रकार वायु के वेग द्वारा घर्षण होकर कहीं भी आग उत्पन्न हो सकती है। इस प्रक्रिया को वेद मंत्र इस प्रकार से प्रकट करता है। And we are all very familiar with this fire we have had in the last so many years in California fires. Remember that? मर्थात यदिम विष्टो मातृश्वः विश्वदेव्यम, वायु घर्षण के द्वारा अग्नि को उत्पन्न करता है। वायु का जो वेग है उसके जो परिणाम उनका वर्णन हम करें उनसे हो बहुकाम। जहाज चले समुद्र में वादवान से मीत, वायु की ही गति से होत समीच यरीत। ऊर्जा की जो तोट है जगत में इस काल, उसकी पूर्ति हो सकत वायु से सब काल। वायु के ही वेग में झड़े पुराने पात, नूतन पात तभी लगे वृक्षों पर साक्षात। वायु ऊर्जा को उपजावे, ऊर्जा कार्य कई चलावे। वायु देव महान लो जान, वायु के बहु कार्य महान। So let's put this on the side now. Recite the mantra with me. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parbrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitra Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। अस्तो मा सद्गम्या तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गम्या, मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गम्या। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्वेषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। Astavakra Gita. We are on chapter 5, and this chapter is a very short chapter, 4 verses spoken by the Guru Astavakra. When we have the direct experience of the self, the soul, the ego gets dissolved. Or without dissolving the ego, we cannot have this kind of experience. It works both ways. So that's why the significance of the term Laya or a dissolution. This is what we learn in this chapter. And this Laya or dissolution or dissolving the ego, it is to be attained in different stages. It's not like all of a sudden. Even when we symbolically take a coconut to a guru first takes the layers out, the outer layers of fiber. Then there's a shaft left, he breaks it. Then he dissolves that coconut water at the feet of the deity. That is one of the way of prayers in Hinduism. But symbolically, it means dissolving the ego at the feet of God with the help of, so student, disciple will take it and guru will help. So that means we go to a guru, we learn, we practice, and ultimately we become one with God. Okay? Whether we take it a coconut or whether we do it some other way, these are all symbols. But in this chapter, we're going to learn the 4 stages of dissolving our ego. Because ultimately, ego is the one which is the barrier between us and God. It's like a wall between us and Him. So 4 stages, that's why there are only 4 verses. And going through the stages can take many, many lifetimes. Or it can happen right away also. There's no exact time frame for it. It all depends how much sadhana we do, how easy we can surrender. Okay? So the 4 different stages through which a sincere seeker can accomplish this total dissolution of his ego is the theme of this chapter. So in order to start the chapter, first we have to understand what this ego is. Right? Ego, what is ego? Ego is a part of our personality. Ego is not part of this Atma. Ego is part of the personality. Which part of the personality? The subtle part of the personality, which is called a Suksham Sharir, or it's called Man Buddhi Chit Ahankar, that Ahankar part in that Suksham, or the subtle body. Okay. So this is what we are talking about. It's not about the body, but it's identification with the body, or identification with the mind, identification with the intellect. So identification with non-me is called ego. Adi Shankaracharya ji said, it is an identification with the non-self. With a very simple terms, he said, with a non-self. There's a self and there's a non-self. Self is the Atma, which is part of the Paramatma, and everything else is a non-self. That means the body also, that means the achievements also, that means the relationships also. That means intellect also. That is called the ego. Okay, so this is what we are learning in this chapter. How to dissolve this identification with the non-self. So that's why the technique of Laya. Now, if somebody asks you what is a Laya Yog, this is what a Laya Yog is. Okay, because there are several books that have been written on this Laya Yog. But this great Rishi is taking us through, in just in 4 verses, taking us through the whole technique. So the technique of Laya starts with the ending of the body consciousness, and through stage by stage, it ultimately takes the seeker to the experience of the Kaivalya, absolute aloneness of the self-divine. That's Kaivalya, only Atma. But it starts
हर्षजी,
with the, yes.
थोड़ा स्लो और लिखवा दो.
Okay, लिख रहे हो? Sure. Sorry. So the technique of Laya starts with the ending of the body consciousness. And through stage by stage, it ultimately takes the seeker to the experience of the absolute aloneness of the self-divine, which is called Kaivalya. You remember when we studied Yoga Darshan also, last chapter?
Hershji, can
Kaivalya
you
path.
repeat the last line? Last line, please. Can you repeat the last line? Thank you.
Yes, and through stage by stage, it ultimately takes the seeker to the experience of the absolute aloneness of the self-divine. Okay, in Sanskrit, it's called Kaivalya. Kaivalya means Keval, only, right? Only, Kaivalya. With the unbroken and continuous God remembrance is one of the simplest practices. Unbroken, continuous, right? Nitya, nirantar. You remember those words? And then there has to be Satikara Sevita also. If you don't have a love, so that's why remembrance of God will happen only when we love God. See, when we are afraid of God, then there is no continuity. Then part of our mind is afraid. Oh, this might happen. I better remember God. But love for God is God and God and God alone. Fear of God will not take us to that level. Love for God will. Okay? So unbroken and continuous God remembrance is one of the simplest practices in ultimately achieving this state of total dissolution. Okay? So it's one of the simplest practice in ultimately achieving this state of a total dissolution, which is called the Laya. Total dissolution. And now you know what we are dissolving. Identification with the non-self we got to dissolve. And what we are attaining? Identification with the self. Sounds very simple. But we have been attached to this body consciousness from many, many lifetimes. This time around, we have gotten this beautiful human body. Last time around, we don't know what kind of a body we had, but we loved that body also. No matter which body we acquire, we love that body. It could be a bird's body, it could be a plant's body. It could be a lion, it could be elephant, it could be a horse. They all love their bodies. And when we were in those bodies, we loved those bodies too. Because we totally identified ourselves with that body. And now we just love this human body in which we are in. But we were neither that body in the past, and we are neither this body right now. A yogi wants to establish this by taking care of the body, but ultimately dissolving this attachment to this body or identification with this body. So let's start. We can discuss more later on. Anywhere you have missed also, I'm here for you. But let's try to go through these 4 verses today. So that,
what page number are we on?
I don't have the book with me, but chapter 5.
Okay.
47.
And the first verse. Anybody can give the page number?
47.
Thank you.
All right. 47. So Rishi Astavakra is speaking in these 4 verses. So he is giving a next level of knowledge to Raja Janak. Raja Janak did go into Samadhi. But one time going into the Samadhi does not dissolve all our sanskaras. We got to keep on increasing the intensity of our Samadhi also. So that's why Rishi Astavakra is continuing after testing his student, whether the student is qualified or not, to take him towards the next level. Okay, even though you're all muted, but do repeat after me, so I'll give you a little break. I would say one person only repeat after me, whoever can say the Sanskrit clearly. Maybe many, you want to do that, unmute yourself. Okay. So that everybody else will know how to say these terms. Okay, number 1. Na te sangaha asti ken api.
Na te sangha asti kenopi.
Kim shuddha tyaktum ichhasi.
Kim shuddha tyaktum ichhasi.
Sanghat vilyam kurvam.
Sanghat vilyam kurvan.
Evam ev layam vraj.
Evam ev layam vraja.
Na means not, te means your. Sangaha, contact. Asti is can with anything. Api, verily. Kim, what? Shuddha, pure. Tyaktum, to renounce. Ichhasi, wish. Sanghat vilayam. Vilayam is the dissolution. Sanghat is the body complex. This is a scriptural term, sanghat. Sanghat. Sanghat is a constitution of sense organs, mind, intellect, and ego. So it's like a body complex. That's why I said it's like the total body over there. Okay. Kurvan, effecting. Evam, thus. Ev, indeed. Layam, the state of dissolution. Laya, dissolving. Vraj, attain. Attain. So Astavakra ji is saying you have no contact with anything whatsoever. Pure as you are. What do you want to renounce? Having dissolved the body complex, enter into the laya, the state of dissolution. So not just the physical body, but he's saying with the mind and the ego and the intellect also, there's no contact with that. Atma is Shuddha. When you understand that there's no contact, what is there to renounce? You don't have it. It's not yours. So you have no contact with anything whatsoever. Pure as you are, what do you want to renounce? Having dissolved the body complex, enter into Laya, the state of dissolution. So it's like a pure self. For the pure self, what is there to renounce? As long as we identify with the Jiva Atma, sure there is something to renounce. But for the pure Atma, when we identify with that, what is there to renounce? See, at this moment, we live identified with all of this. And we not only live, we act and live as though we are nothing but the body complex. I'm talking about an average student. We think we are the body. because we have not traveled this yet. Because we just continuously adore this body so much. That's why we are attached to this body. And that's why the biggest fear for us is that this body is getting old, or we'll have to leave the body. That is the biggest fear. Okay? But when we remember that I am the infinite self, dissolving this becomes easy. He says, what is there to dissolve then? So he says, in this way, enter Laya, the state of dissolution. So the very first stage, he says, disidentify from the body complex. That is the first stage. In the Upanishads also, the rishis, they say, Padam adyam na adyantam tasya bijam na vidyate tatra samliyate samvit nirvikalpam chatishtati bhuyo vartate dukhe. That which has neither a beginning nor an end can have no cause for itself. There is therein dissolve your mind, intellect, equipment, and remain ever undisturbed. See, when we try to meditate also, what do? We are trying to dissolve our mind and intellect. That's a lay also, that's a dissolving. We are just letting it go into that. And this verse says, such an individual shall never have to ever return into misery and pain. Bhuyo va vartate dukhe. So this is cycle of birth and death. If we can dissolve our ego into the Atma, then we don't have to come back again, which is the goal of life. Okay, but in this verse, the very first thing is detachment. He doesn't say ignore the body. He said detach the body from the body complex. Okay? The same way, sometimes we don't understand the detachment properly. Detachment from the money or the fame or the relatives. What does that mean? That doesn't mean you don't do your karma, your duty, but in a detached manner. That's what vairagya is. This Laya Yog cannot be completed without vairagya. And not just a lower level of vairagya. He's talking about the par vairagya. See, just like we talk about a lower bhakti and an upper bhakti, right? Lower is called apar. And the topmost bhakti is called par. The same way the vairagya also, apar vairagya and par vairagya.
Excuse me, Hersh ji, lower
Yes.
bhakti or upper bhakti क्या होता है?
Lower bhakti is when we are remembering God, we want something from God. It could be at the physical level, it could be at the relationship level, it could be financial level. Okay? When we want something from God, that's a lower bhakti. We are asking from God, bhakti to hai. We believe that God can give it to us. We have a love for God, but we have a love for God so that we can get something. Upper bhakti is, or a top level of bhakti is par bhakti. That is like I want to love God. Causeless. There's no condition. I don't want anything. I just want you only, God. Right? So that's how it goes. Vairagya is the same way. Okay? Lower vairagya, something we have seen, something we have heard, I don't want it. But above that is any, in the past, or even in the future, some kind of a sukh in the swarag. I don't want anything. I just want only God. Okay? What? Okay. He had the test done, so he wanted to tell me that he doesn't have COVID. We knew that.
We knew that, but we were waiting for result and we came back today.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
So number 2. Udeti bhavataha vishvam Many?
Oh, sorry, I was not. I mute myself and then okay.
Oh, okay. So let's start again. Udeti bhavata vishwam
Udeti bhavta vishwam
varidhe iv budbudha
varide ev budbudah
iti gyatva ekam atmanam
iti gyatva ekam atmana
evam ev layam vraj.
etmam ev layam braja.
उदेति राइज, जैसे कहते हैं ना उदित होना, है ना, उठना, राइज. भवता फ्रॉम यू, विश्वम यूनिवर्स, वारिधे फ्रॉम द सी. सी वारी, वारी मीन्स वाटर, राइट? वारिधे, दैट्स इट, द सी, द ओशन. इव मीन्स लाइक बुदबुदा, बबल. Iti means thus, gyatva, having apprehended, having known completely. Gyatva, gyan ho gaya uska. Ekam, one, atmanam, self, evam, in this way. Ev means verily, layam, a state of dissolution. Vraj, enter. So now the next level. First, detachment. Now he says the universe rises from you like a bubble from the sea. Thus comprehended the non-dual self. In this way, enter into Laya, the state of a dissolution. So whatever the world, we have created this world. How did we create it? By thinking that we are the mind, we are the intellect, we are the body. We just created this world. This is our own universe we have created. So he says the universe rises from you like a bubble from the sea. See, he has used this, Rishi Astavakra used this metaphor quite a bit. The sea and the bubbles and the foam and the waves. Okay, so again in this verse also, he's using the same metaphor. That you have created all these bubbles. You have created all these waves. Understand that. Comprehend the non-dual self. What is a non-dual self? The Atma. It's only one. And that one is part of that ultimate one. Comprehend that. Jano usko. Experience karo. Then rest will disappear. So universe springs up from your lower self. So consistently we need to contemplate upon that. We got to learn how to quieten the demands of the agitations, passions, restlessness. Because whenever we are restless, when we are disturbed, whenever we are worried, what are we doing? We are creating more bubbles. So he says, consistently contemplating, quieten the demands and the agitations, passions, and the restlessness of the equipments. And what is the equipment? Body, mind, intellect, that's all equipment. How do we do it? In the hushed silence, in our deep meditation. Because when we are working in the outer field, there's always a ripple. But when we are meditating, there shouldn't be a ripple. There should be a hushed silence. There should be undisturbed meditation. And we got to take a dip in this deep, great, grand infinitude. That's what we are doing when we are meditating, taking a bath in that, dissolving dissolving all that non-self and connecting the self with that ultimate absolute self. So he says, in this way, enter into Laya, the state of dissolution. So here in the second stage of the dissolution, Rishi Astavakra is indicating that the seeker must dissolve his mind. First disidentify, then dissolve also. Not just the mind, he says the desire prompted storms within, because those are the bubbles, those are the Buddhas. Just dissolve all of it. So in Yoga Vashishta also we studied the same thing. See, all the scriptures say the same thing. So Yoga Vashishta, you all know Yoga Vashishta is a dialogue between Lord Ram and his guru, Rishi Vashishta. What did Rishi Vashishta say? Brahmindriye Vishnu Varunaha Yadvat Kartum Samudhyata Tad Aham Chit Vapu Sarvam Karomi Teyeva Bhavyet. Maintain the attitude that whatever the creator, Indra, Vishnu, and Varun can achieve and accomplish that. That means he is saying that learn from these great personalities. They achieved it, you achieve it too. What are we supposed to achieve? That I, the capital I, the pure consciousness, I am. That I am, that pure consciousness. Other great personality, they achieved it. And I am going to achieve that too. Sometimes we think that we can reach this state all of a sudden. Now we're going to go back to Bhagavad Gita. What did Lord Krishna say? Because Bhagavad Gita is a practical scripture for students like us. Over here in this scripture, we are learning a higher level of achievement. But how to reach there? Bhagavad Gita teaches us. You all have Bhagavad Gita. After this class, go on chapter 6, verse number 25. What did Lord Krishna say in that? And first of all, chapter 6, you should know. In chapter 6, Lord Krishna talks about it. Yeah, I know. Nirja is saying, Atam Sanyam Yoga. Lord Krishna teaches us how to meditate. Exactly what Rishi Astavakra is telling us. How to dissolve. Over there, Lord Krishna says, Shane Shane Upramet Buddhya Dhriti Gritya Atmam Sanstam Manakritva Nakinchitapi Chintayet. Shane Shane means dhire dhire, little by little, slowly. Let him attain quietude by the intellect held in firmness. So the silence will come in the mind, or the bubbles will settle down slowly. So little by little. Having established the mind in the self, let him not think of anything else. कुछ और नहीं सोचना. ये नहीं कि some of the thoughts we dissolved, no new thought we're gonna create. No. He says, किंचित अपि चिंतयेत. कुछ और नहीं सोचना. Dissolve your mind completely into that infinite. Then what do we do after that? Number 3. Pratyaksham api avastutvat.
Pratyaksham api vastutvat.
Yeah, avastutvat. Avastu, right?
Avastutvat.
Yeah. Vishwam na asti amle tavai.
Vishwam namaste maletvai.
Rajju sarpa iva vyaktam.
Rajju sarpam eva tvektam.
Evam ev layam vraj.
Evam eva layam braja.
Pratyaksham, visible. Api, though. Like a even though. Avastutvat. On account of being unreal. Avastu. Unreal. Okay. Vishwam, universe. Na asti, not is. Amale, pure. See, mal means some kind of a flaw, something wrong. Mal is pure. Okay, whenever we put a in front of a word, it becomes opposite of that. When we put a, like a, see, one is a, one is a. When we put a, that becomes even more strengthened. See, a mal, that will be like a full of filth. O mal, no filth. Mal, filth. Okay, these are some of the key words you should know. And remember how this language really works. Tavai, in you. Rajju sarpaha. Rajju is the rope. Sarp is the snake. The snake in the rope. This is another one of the metaphor used in many, many scriptures. And Rishi Astavakra is using the same thing. Okay, snake in the rope. Iv means like, vyaktam, manifested. Eva means thus, ev means verily, layam, the state of dissolution, vraj means attain. The universe, even though visible, because it is unreal, like the snake in the rope, does not exist in you who is pure. So in other words, he says this universe, manifested universe, it seems real to you, it seems real to everybody, but actually it's not. Just like a snake in a rope, because there's not a complete light. You see something outside and you think that it's a snake. And because of that thinking, you just get disturbed. And you might have a heart attack because there's a snake, or your foot just was on the snake, and you might think that, oh no, you got bitten with that snake. And that's what happens with this universe also. So it's not real in the sense that it's temporary. Anything which is temporary cannot be real. Okay. So in that sense, it's called asat. The universe, even though visible, because it's unreal, like the snake in the rope, does not exist in you who is pure. Thus, in this way, enter into Laya, the state of dissolution. So that means you got to contemplate upon it again and again. I thought that this is real. I thought that this body is me or even mine. But you got to contemplate upon that. It's not real. That's why we do the Swadhyay. Otherwise, in the outer field, they'll say that, no, this is so real. You got to enjoy this. Don't let anything happen to it. If somebody attack, you attack back. But a yogi says, no, contemplate like this. Okay? So ordinarily, when we perceive a thing, we take it for granted. We think that is true. That means that thing exists. But he's giving us an example where the perception is not a sure guarantee. He has given us the example of this snake in the rope. Earlier, he gave us the example of silver in the seashell. From a distance, you think that seashell has an inner coating like a silver, but it's not a silver. Your eyes think it's a silver. You even pick it up, but it's not a silver. Or even a ghost in the post. That's another example scriptures give us. At night you're walking outside and you think there is a ghost on the post, but actually there's no ghost. But you perceived it that way. He says the same way you thought that this body is you, or mind is you. This identification with the non-self. So thus having known the universe to be a mere illusion, that's what it is, illusion, superimposed upon the self, it's called a superimposition. negate the universe of the names and forms. And he says, this way enter into the Laya. So this is a third stage, where the universe is negated and dissolved into the consciousness of the meditator. Again, another Upanishadic yogi says, Yatha vipnagaha lokaha vihrantoho api sat sama asambhadat tatha yagye gramo api vipinopama. One who has accomplished this. So other scriptures, they talk about the dissolution too. So he says, one who has accomplished this dissolution is ever in the aloneness of the infinitude. Even in a crowded city, gramo api, that person could be in the middle of a crowd. Gram, the whole village, whole city. Even in a crowded city, his aloneness is not disturbed. That's what this Rishi is saying. Okay. Asambandhat tatha gyasya gramo api vipuno apnaha. It's not that you got to just be in the cave to achieve this. Sometimes you have to go away to meditate deeply. Just like in our own homes also, morning and evening, we got to practice it. We have not completely dissolved our ego. So morning and evening, we practice it. And then when we come out of it and we are in the middle of, we could be working with hundreds of people. We could be leading a corporation or teaching many people or learning from people. At that time also, some of the effect of this will stay in our personality. Okay, it's like, again, remember, shane, slowly and slowly we'll achieve that state. We study many other scriptures also, because this group of people which I have in front of me, well educated, love to study, and we find the same truth in all these scriptures. We just enjoy doing this. So we have studied books written by Adi Shankaracharya ji also. And this is another book which we have not done in our classes, but hopefully we'll do it someday. This is called Proksha Anubhuti. Okay, this is the name of that scripture. So in that, and it's written by Acharya Shankaracharya. Okay.
Can you repeat the name, please?
Aproksha. A-P-A-R-O-K-S. Aproksha. Sanubhuti. S-A-N-U-B-H-U-T-I. Okay, so in that one, Shankaracharya ji says, so he is also indicating 3 stages of Laya. Over here, Rishi Astavakra has mentioned 4 stages for this Laya. Adi Shankaracharya ji, 3 stages. Let me just quickly tell you what are those 3 stages. Number 1, disassociation from the body and the world. Just like we learned over here. Disassociation. Okay. The second is identification with the self. So he's teaching us what to disidentify from the non-self and identify with the self. It's almost like somebody says, this is a bad food, don't eat it. Then they'll have to tell us what to eat. Okay, so number 1 is a disassociation from the body and the world. Second is identification with the self. And the third is forgetting to remember even the knowledge of the self. See that? That is a complete Laya. To me, I think this is where these great yogis are taking us. Otherwise, what happens? Oh, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Brahmasmi. Even forgetting that, Aham Brahmasmi, that's no Aham.
Can you repeat the third one, please?
Yes, forgetting to remember even the knowledge of the self. Isn't this beautiful? I mean, just look at it. If we don't study these scriptures, we are missing out. We are not paying the debt of our rishis. Adi Shankaracharya ji, we know that. He left the body at the age of 32. He wrote everything at a very young age. Then after that, what did he do? He just traveled east, west, north, south, everywhere to spread this knowledge. Right? Four mutt he created. In each mutt, there are Vedic mantras from each Veda is going on constantly. And we all know that. So we got to study these great scriptures. If somebody can sing some Shankaracharya's verses today, I will appreciate that. It could be Padmani, it could be Punam. I know you guys know it at the end. Would love that. Okay. So I hope you got 3 stages, but we'll do this book. Last night I was looking at my notes. I said, this is the book I haven't done with you guys. So I'm not doing my job properly if I don't teach you this. So the process of Laya should not be misunderstood as a path of mere negation. That's what I want you to know. It is not a non-existence or shunyavad. It's not that. Okay. So the process recommended by Upanishadic rishis is to flush out the egocentric mind of all its thoughts with a continuous flood of contemplation upon the God. That's what they are suggesting. They are not saying that just negate everything, keep on negating everything. They say, yeah, you are not that, but what you are, remember that.
Can you
So it's
repeat
not
the
a shunyavad. I see some questions.
Can you repeat that sentence, Hersh?
Okay. First, I said the process of Laya should not be misunderstood as a path of mere negation.
And the one you said to flush out?
Yeah. So neither Astavakra nor the Bhagavad Gita recommends this, that path of negation. Only path of negation. They do say we are not this, but then all these scriptures, they tell us what we are. So the process recommended by these great rishis is to flush out the egocentric mind of all its thoughts of the pluralistic world. Okay, ये जो हमने सारा जंजाल बनाया है, इसको खत्म करना है with a continuous flood of contemplation upon the non-dual self. Okay, so let me repeat it again. I know some of you are writing. So the process recommended by the rishis or the gurus is to flush out the egocentric mind of all its thoughts of the pluralistic world. Okay, with a how do we do that? With a continuous flood of contemplation upon the non-dual self. I always give you the example of a dirty bottle. Inside there's a lot of crud in there, but bottle is attached to the table and you need to clean it. How do you clean it? Keep on pouring the clean water in it. Keep on pouring the clean water. If you keep on pouring it, the crud in there, that will come out. It will outflow. The same thing we do over here. Non-attachment with the non-self, thinking about the self, the goal or the God or whatever you want to name it. And then keep on putting those thoughts. The rest, the crud will outflow. And that's what Laya is. Okay. So let's do the number 4 also, because we want to finish this chapter. And then after that, we will have questions also. Number 4. Sam dukh sukha purna.
Sam dukh sukha purna.
Asha nirashya ho sama.
Asha nirashayo samaha.
Sam jivitaha mrityu sana.
Sam jivata mrityu sana.
Evam ev layam vraj.
Evam layam praja.
Yeah, see, every sentence, every verse ended with the layam vraj, right? Sam dukh sukha. You're all familiar with this simple term. Pain and pleasure are the same. Sam means same, samta. Dukh mein, sukh mein. So to whom the pain and pleasure are the same. Purnaha, perfect. Asha nirashayo, in hope and disappointment. Asha nirasha, right? Asha is the hope, nirasha is a disappointment. Sama, same. Sam jivita mrityu, to whom life and death are the same. Because life and death is for what? For the non-self. Self never dies, right? To whom life and death are the same. San means being, evam means thus, ev means verily, layam, the state of dissolution, vraj means attain. So Astavakra ji is saying, you are perfect. See, that is a very bold statement. You are perfect. But what part of us is perfect? Is body perfect? Is the mind perfect? No. The real thing, the soul is perfect. And that is perfect everywhere. So you are perfect. And the same in pain and pleasure, in hope and disappointment, in life and death. Thus, in this way, enter into Laya, the state of dissolution. So in this 4th verse and the last stage of Laya, Rishi Astavakra is prescribing for the seeker a process. This is again a process by which all our intellectual estimates, see, these are intellectual estimates. Our intellect decides whether it's a painful or pleasurable, whether it's a hopeful situation or a disappointing situation. So he says the seeker, a process by which all his intellectual estimates and also the responses, what happens to them? They get dissolved into the steady contemplation upon the nature of the self, Atma. Dissolving your mind, intellect, everything into that self. So pain and pleasure, hope and disappointment, life and death, all are intellectual estimates or evaluations. And very habitual concepts. So to dissolve the intellect is to end its function. Otherwise, intellect keeps on churning. So dissolving, at least for that time, dissolving during 15 minutes of meditation or half an hour of meditation. And when you find the peace in it, then lengthen your meditation. From a sitting down meditation, you can start doing the walking meditation. You are doing everything, but you are meditating. Your hands are busy, busier than others. But you are meditating. This is what he is teaching us. To dissolve the intellect is to end its functions. Because in the self, in the soul, there are none of these intellectual evaluations. Atma doesn't do it. They are all functions of the mind and the intellect. So we got to learn how to rise above that's why it's called transcendental meditation. Because people often ask me, what are we transcending? We are transcending the lower layers of our personality. We are evolving. So he says, in this way, enter into Laya, the state of dissolution. So to contemplate upon the self as the one constant witness. It's like a witness of all these agitations. It's watching. That's all it's doing, watching. Does not get disturbed. It's not evaluating whether it's bad or good. It's just only watching. That's why Atma is called a Sakshi. It's not a judge. It's not a lawyer. It only watches. That's its function. And we are that Sakshi. So when we just remember that we are the Sakshi, we have attained this Laya Yog. Laya Yog. So these are the 4 stages prescribed by Rishi Astavakra for accomplishing the total dissolution of the individualized consciousness and merging it into the infinite self. So this ends this chapter. So anywhere you did not understand, or if you want to make some comment or ask something, let's give you a few minutes. And after that, if you want to, anybody wants to, if you're ready to sing that, you can do that. Adi Shankaracharya's some verses. Otherwise, we'll just meditate on some chanting. So that's what I would like to do. Do we have questions?
Nirja has a question.
Okay, Nirja. You are muted, Nirja.
She has to unmute because she did it.
Okay,
Naina?
if we were to put all 4 points, then would it be like disidentify, dissolve, know it to be unreal, and go beyond the opposites?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, fourth one is like a go beyond, but how? Not to use your intellect.
By
Because
intellectual estimates and
intellect
its
also
responses.
become the Sakshi. Identify with the Sakshi, even though everything is happening. It's not that you stop living. Things are happening, but you just only observe. You are the observer. So you have disidentified from the body also. You have disidentified from the mind also. You have disidentified from the intellect also. See, intellect is subtler than the mind. It takes time to surrender the intellect. Body very easy to surrender. We all go to the temples and we just take the body over there. But what really happens to the intellect? After listening to a great Swami also, on the way back home, we end up finding faults in the Swami, the way he was pronouncing certain words. Right? Don't you think that?
Can you repeat that summary, Nirja? 4 steps.
Yeah, Nirja, why don't you?
That's what all we want. One word, like for all the.
First is disidentify.
Disidentify.
Second is dissolve. Third is know it to be unreal.
Let me elaborate a little bit, Nirja. First is disidentify from the body complex. Okay. Second is whatever is coming from the thoughts, the bulbule, the bubbles, disidentify from those, because you are the one who have created your world. Right? So you got to remember that. And what was the third you said, Nirja?
Know it to be unreal. rope and snake.
Yeah, it's just like we have a superimposed. We have superimposed all of this in this world. Remember that it's only a superimposition. Even though universe is visible, but remember it's unreal. See, प्रत्यक्ष लगता तो है, पर है नहीं. Right? And the fourth one is where the intellect also. Dissolve the intellect is also part of the non-self.
हर्ष जी जरा एग्जाम्पल देके बताओ. जैसे आपने कहा first disidentify and then dissolve. Give a little bit more explanation. जैसे हमने कैसे
Dissolve means कैसे dissolve करने. See, यही उन्होंने कहा ना. That's what he's saying. कि first remember, contemplate you are not the body.
Yes.
Then what are you? The Atma.
Atma.
Okay. So तो है उसके बारे में सोचो.
अच्छा.
Okay. जब meditate करते हैं तो किसके बारे में सोचते हैं? आत्मा है परमात्मा. Not the body. If you just keep on thinking about, no, my body is straight, my body is beautiful, we are not, we are only, हम अपने शरीर पर ध्यान लगा रहे हैं.
Yes.
है ना? शरीर के ऊपर ध्यान नहीं लगाना. शरीर के ऊपर ध्यान कब लगाना है? जब हमने हठ योग कर रहे होते हैं. वो भी initial stages का जो हठ योग होता है. Later on, even advanced hठ योग is also total meditation on the Atma. But initially, yes, when people are learning yoga, ध्यान body के ऊपर होना चाहिए. When I'm moving my shoulders, yes, I'm thinking about my shoulders, right? But later on, when I know how to move my shoulders, there's no pain in my shoulders, they know how to move properly, then I can dissolve my mind into the Atma. That's how we do it. And it's a practice. तभी मैंने कहा ना, that's why I brought that Gita का verse, कि ये नहीं कि एक दिन में हो जाएगा. शनै It's okay. But अगर हम नहीं करेंगे तो कभी भी इस रास्ते पर नहीं चलेंगे. Okay? There's no non-Hindi speaking person, hopefully.
I think Jen was on.
Oh, Jen was on. Okay, I'll
Jen
try
is
her
there.
to-
Jen is there, yeah.
Okay, I'll let
Poonam has a question.
Yes, Poonam.
Hershey, I think we are looking at it going one after the other, but I have a feeling that they all kind of go side by side. So
Yes.
not necessarily we come to the fourth, that is no pleasure or pain. After going through everything, I am thinking, let me say,
you're right.
let's not stop
dislikes. You're right, Poonam. It's
It's
like arrows towards, all the arrows go towards the lay. Yeah, you are right, Poonam. Yeah, that's how it goes. Because sometimes when we think the staging, that means one after the other. It's like all of them.
Exactly.
Yes. And then it could be one day, maybe we are working on the first verse. Or maybe one day we are really good, we are really practicing the fourth verse. It can happen too. But ultimately, remember all four of them. Okay, these are like a four ways to dissolve your ego. Because ego यही है ना कि मैंने तो इतना पा लिया. I have attained so much. I have achieved so much. We got to dissolve that. All the achievements, all the attainments, they are temporary. Okay. Yes.
Manju Malhotra.
Yes, Manju.
Actually, yes, I guess I got the answer. I wanted the 4 stages, like.
Yeah, 4 stages, and we can go back and forth also. It's not that today, maybe I'm in a company where I can disidentify from the body. Tomorrow I could be in a group of people where the bodily consciousness can be very heavy on me. Then I got to remember this. So Poonam made a good point.
These are just 4 points.
These
Four
are,
points.
I would say, four arrows. 4 arrows to take us towards the right way. Yeah. Yeah. Just remember that all four are equally important. It's not one is less than others. But he started with the body complex, but body complex has intellect in it too. It's a complex. Suksham Sharir and Sathul Sharir, both. So good point.
Does
Okay.
Urmil Chawla have a question?
Yes.
No,
Urmil?
I wanted Nija to repeat as she already did.
Okay.
You got it. Okay. All right. Anybody else?
Hershji, question tha about Raja Janak. Was he Sita ji's dad?
Yes. Yes.
Same Janak.
Same. Yeah, this is the same Janak. That's right. Yes. Yeah.
Padmini has a question.
Namaste,
Yes,
Hershji.
Namaste,
Namaste,
Padmini.
Hershji. Yeah. Going back to higher and lower Vairagya. So I appreciate and I understand the teachings. Still having a little trouble practicing the lower part of the Vairagya. So can you
The
please?
higher you can. Just kidding. Just kidding.
No,
Yeah,
no, I'm having
lower,
trouble practicing the lower part of the Vairagya.
yeah. No, just joking with you,
No
Padmini.
problem.
Yeah,
No problem.
you are like a daughter to me, so I can joke with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So a lower level of Vairagya is called upper Vairagya.
Yeah.
It's just like in this world, we have seen something, we have heard something, and we say these worldly things, I'm done with it. Okay. I know my path. I know my goal. I'm not gonna eat it, but not. I have to have that. I got to go there. I got to meet with people. So that's a Vairagya.
Yeah.
You don't have to run away from the family affairs, but internal, it's all mental. It's not a physical. And what is a higher Vairagya? Higher Vairagya is see, normally people say, do the charity, do the seva, so that you have a future is good. You go to the heaven, so you don't even have the heavenly expectations. And after this physical life, where I go,
it doesn't matter.
I have full faith in God. Wherever God keeps me, that's fine with me. That's a higher Vairagya. So even future sukha. So that means no action because of some result. Doing the actions because I'm supposed to do those actions. That's it. Okay. So that's a higher. But lower is right now I have seen something, somebody said something. No, I know my path. I'm going to be content with it. I got to do my tapasya. No attachment.
No, I guess I was thinking about the detachment part. The detachment from
and detachment is not from the see, very first level of detachment is detachment from the fruit of the action. So start from there. Any action which we do, don't do it because of the fruit. Then ultimately what happens, you get detached from the action also.
Yeah.
Because ultimately what happens, I will do good actions, I'm going to do good action. We are attached to the actions. No, we are supposed to do whatever is in whatever our job is to do. Okay, so that's how it's like first we understand it theoretically, then we practice it with that kind of awareness. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
Poonam, does Poonam have a question or?
No.
Okay.
I didn't
So
have a
you can, and Nishi Bajaj. Nishi, did you have a question?
Yes.
Hershji, I know I'm being repetitive, but this is really, these 4 stages are good. And I'd like to hear in your words, if you can give one-liners on each one of them, the 4 stages.
Okay, let me just write it up, one line on each, and before next class, I'll give it to you. How about that?
Thank you.
Okay, right now you study also, I'll study also, and then one lines for each and every one of them. I'll have it for you. Okay, just like I gave the 3 lines according to Shankaracharya's.
Right.
The same way I'll have these for you. That's my homework. Okay. So now, who would like to sing Shankaracharyaji's verses? Padmini, do you know?
Yeah.
I'm not putting
Actually,
you on spot, but you can sing something. Otherwise, if Poonam can sing.
one of my favorite scriptures of Adi Shankaracharya's thing is Bhaj Govindam.
Yes, yes,
So
definitely.
it's got so many beautiful verses, but because of time, I'll just sing just 3 or 4 of his
that's
teachings.
fine. I think that's good because we have. Yeah.
So I think most of us know the scripture and the song of Bhaj Govindam. So I'll just
and we'll
sing.
just do meditation with this. There won't be a meditation after this. Just these verses, and then we'll end the class. Okay. Thank you, Padmini.
Thank you. Sthapakaya cha dhammasya sarvadharma swarupini avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Muda jahi dhanagamatreshnam, Muda jahi dhanagamatreshnam, Kuru sadbuddhim manasi vitrishnam, Yallapase nija karma partham, Yallapase nija karma partham, Chittam tena vinodaya chitam, Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam, Harati nimesha tala sarvam. Ma kuru dhana jana yauvana garvam, Harati nimesha tala sarvam. Maya mayamidam akhilam Khitva Maya mayamidam akhilam Khitva Brahma param tvam pravisha vinitva Brahma padam tvam pravisha vinitva Bhaj Govindam, Bhaj Govindam, Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Suramaldita taru Mula Nivasaha Shayya Bhutalam Ajnam Vasaha Sarva Parigraha Bhogatyaga Sarva Parigraha Bhogatyaga Kasya Sukham Nataroti Viraga Kasya Sukham Nakaroti Viraga Bhaj Govindam Bhaj Govindam Govindam Bhaj Mudhamate. Bhagavad Gita Kinchita Dhita Bhagavad Gita Kinchita Dhita Ganga Jalalava कणिका पीता सकृदपि येन मुरारि समर्चा क्रियते तस्य यमेन न चर्चा भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे शयनम् इह संसार बहुदुस्तार इह संसार बहुदुस्तार कृपया पादे पाहि मुरारे भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते गेयं गीता नाम सहस्रं ध्येयं श्रीपति रूपमजेश्रं नेयं सज्जन संकेचितं देयं दीनजनाय कवितं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते Last one. Guru Charanambuj Nirbharam Bhaktah Samsara Dachirat Bhavamuktah Guru Charanambuj Nirbharam Bhaktah Samsara Dachirat Bhavamuktah Sendriya Manasa नियमादेवं सेन्द्रियमानस नियमादेवं दक्ष्यसि निज हृदय संदेवं दक्ष्यसि निज हृदय संदेवं भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते भज गोविन्दं भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So